Have you ever trusted someone so completely, only to discover they may have been destroying your life from the shadows? Have you ever realized that the person comforting you, the person wiping away your tears, the person promising to help, could actually be the one causing your pain? Because that's exactly the nightmare Daniel Osbourne may have just walked into. And by the end of this shocking Coronation Street episode, a child is left in danger, a woman is publicly humiliated, and a desperate man spirals closer to rock bottom than ever before. Welcome back to Coronation Street Update. And tonight we're breaking down one of the most emotionally devastating storylines currently unfolding on the cobbles. A story filled with obsession, manipulation, psychological warfare, public humiliation, and a terrifying consequence nobody saw coming. Because what started as an online hate campaign may have just destroyed multiple lives. And the fallout is only beginning. Let's dive in. For weeks now, Daniel Osbourne has been trapped inside a nightmare he couldn't escape. Every day bringing new accusations, new attacks, new humiliations. Someone hiding behind the anonymous identity of Truthteller launched a vicious campaign designed to destroy his reputation. Post after post, rumor after rumor, accusation after accusation. The anonymous troll claimed Daniel had enabled the abuse carried out by his ex-girlfriend Megan Walsh against student Will Driscoll. Whether people believed it or not almost didn't matter anymore. Because once doubt is planted, it grows. And Daniel's entire world slowly began collapsing around him. His reputation suffered. His mental health deteriorated. His confidence disappeared. And perhaps worst of all, he never knew who was responsible. But then everything changes. Just when Daniel thought the nightmare might finally be over, the original account disappeared. The attack stopped. Silence. For a brief moment, hope returned. But hope can be dangerous. Because sometimes silence is simply the calm before a much bigger storm. And that's exactly what happened. A new account appeared. Truthteller 2. And suddenly the attack started all over again. Only this time, the campaign felt even more personal. Even more targeted. Even more cruel. Teenage boys ambushed Daniel in public, humiliating him in the street, covering him with ketchup, turning him into a laughingstock. And every attack chipped away another piece of his emotional stability. But what Daniel didn't realize was that the person responsible might have been standing beside him the entire time, watching, waiting, manipulating. And that possibility changes everything. Because this wasn't simply online trolling anymore. This was psychological control. Think about it. Every time Daniel felt vulnerable, Jodie was there. Every time he needed support, Jodie was there. Every time his confidence shattered, Jodie was there to comfort him. But was that kindness? Or was it strategy? Was she helping him recover? Or creating the wounds herself? And that's when things take a much darker turn. School. The consequences of the scandal continued spreading. Students whispered. Questions circulated. Judgment followed him through the corridors. Even young Lily Platt joined in, smashing his new mug in an act that symbolized how little respect he now commanded. Daniel's life was unraveling, piece by piece. And then came the moment that changed everything. One innocent comment. One tiny mistake. One sentence Jodie should never have spoken. As Daniel examined the hateful messages again, something clicked. Suddenly a detail made sense. A piece of information only the troll should have known. And in an instant, the horrifying truth exploded inside his mind. Jodie Ramsey. The woman living under his roof. The woman claiming to care. The woman supporting him through his darkest moments. She had been behind the torment all along. Or so Daniel believed. And what happened next was explosive. Years of frustration. Weeks of anxiety. Countless sleepless nights. All erupted at once. Daniel confronted her. His anger boiling over. His emotions completely out of control. He accused her of destroying his life. Of manipulating him. Of pretending to be an ally while secretly inflicting unimaginable misery. And honestly, can you blame him? Because betrayal always hurts most when it comes from someone you trust. But here's where things become even more complicated. Jodie denied everything. And again. And again. She insisted she wasn't responsible for the second account. She swore she wasn't behind Truthteller 2. She pleaded for him to believe her. But by then, Daniel had stopped listening. The damage was already done. Trust had died. And once trust dies, relationships rarely survive. But that may not be the whole truth. Because Coronation Street fans know one thing better than anyone. Nothing is ever as simple as it first appears. Could Jodie really be responsible for everything? Or is there still another player hiding in the shadows? Second troll. A copycat. A secret manipulator nobody has identified yet? The mystery may not be over. But Daniel wasn't interested in mysteries. He wanted revenge. And that decision would have devastating consequences. Later, after drowning his sorrows inside the Rovers, Daniel reached breaking point. Fueled by anger, humiliation, and alcohol, he publicly accused Jodie. In front of everyone. Exposing her. Shaming her. Destroying whatever remained of her reputation. The room watched. The accusations flew. And Jodie responded with tears. But were they genuine tears? Or another performance? That's the question fans are now asking. Because regardless of whether she's guilty or innocent, one thing is clear. The situation had spiraled completely out of control. But then, the story takes a terrifying turn. Suddenly, the online drama becomes the least important problem in Daniel's life. Back at home, Daniel continued drinking. Trying to numb the pain. Trying to escape the chaos. Trying to silence the voices in his head. And eventually, his body gave up. He passed out. Completely unconscious. Completely unaware. Completely incapable of protecting the person who needed him most. His son. Little Bertie. What happens next is heartbreaking. Bertie became hungry. Like any child would. But there was nobody there to help him. Nobody paying attention. Nobody keeping him safe. So he tried to solve the problem himself. And that's where disaster struck. Alone. And unsupervised. Bertie placed food inside a microwave. Food covered in tin foil. Moments later, smoke began filling the flat. The danger growing by the second. The child panicked. The alarm sounded. Fear took over. And while Daniel lay unconscious on the sofa, his young son was forced to save himself. Just think about that. A frightened child navigating a potentially deadly situation alone. While his father remained completely oblivious. It's one of the most devastating moments we've seen from Daniel in a long time. Not because he's evil. Not because he doesn't love Bertie. But because grief, stress, humiliation, and alcohol combined to create a perfect storm. A storm that nearly led to tragedy. Fortunately, Bertie found help. Running to number 1. Finding Adam and Tracy. Searching desperately for safety. And thankfully, someone listened. Someone acted. Someone stepped in. Before things became even worse. Adam rushed to the flat. The smoke alarm silenced. The danger contained. But the emotional damage? That may be impossible to erase. Because now a much bigger question hangs over Daniel's future. Can he recover from this? Can he rebuild his reputation? Can he overcome his dependence on alcohol? Can he repair the trust he's lost? And perhaps most importantly, can he still be the father Bertie needs? Because this storyline feels like a turning point. The moment when everything changes. The moment Daniel finally has to confront the damage being done to himself. And to those around him. As for Jodie, her future remains uncertain. Has she truly been exposed? Or has Daniel made a catastrophic mistake? Could another shocking twist still be waiting around the corner? And if so, who is really pulling the strings? One thing is certain. This story is far from over. And the next chapter could be even more explosive. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to Coronation Street Update for all the latest spoilers, theories, shocking twists and emotional story analysis. Because on Coronation Street, the truth always comes out eventually. The only question is, who will be destroyed when it does?